will be my legacy to you, to our country, as I leave the presidency.
Richard Nixon. To some, this name might resonate as the 37th President of the United States. For others, the name might ring a bell for his achievements during presidency, like ending the Vietnam War, opening relations with China, or creating the Environmental Protection Agency, otherwise known as the EPA. However, for most people, his name is synonymous for one of the biggest political scandals in American history, Watergate. Despite Nixon's numerous achievements in office, the Watergate scandal ultimately defined his legacy, leading to his resignation and stirring public trust in government. Here, we will dive into the events that led up to Watergate, the cover-up, and the lasting impact on American politics.
I've made my share of mistakes, but I have always done my duty as I saw it in serving my country. My conscience is absolute.
June 17th, 1972. 5 men were caught breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate Complex in Washington, D.C. These weren't just any burglars. They had ties to President Richard Nixon's re-election campaign, officially known as the Committee for the Re-election of the President. So what was their goal? To wiretap phones and steal confidential documents to gain a political edge in the upcoming election. Although immoral, Nixon insisted on proceeding with the process. The burglars were caught red-handed by security guard Frank Wills, who noticed suspicious activity and ended up calling the police. These men had sophisticated surveillance equipment and cameras to be cautious with the process. However, that didn't work out so well, as they were just arrested later that day at the Watergate Complex. While some reports suggested it was just its own incident, many investigative journalists quickly realized there was more to the story than what seemed. At first, the break-in seemed like a minor crime. However, as reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein of the Washington Post started to dig deeper, the case started to unravel. They received inside information from an anonymous source, who was later revealed as FBI Associate Director Mark Felt. Mark was first called, quote, "my friend," by Woodward at the Washington Post, one of his more famous nicknames, as the secret source who helped uncover Watergate. This man directed them to, quote-unquote, follow the money, by reviewing the financial records, campaign funds, and secret payments to discover the break-in. All this information led straight to Nixon's re-election campaign, proving that this scandal had reached the highest level of government. Rather than admitting any wrongdoing, Nixon and his top allies worked aggressively to cover it up. For nearly 2 years, they authorized hush-money payments to the burglars to keep them silent, instructed the CIA to pressure the FBI into stopping its investigation, and deliberately misled the public. Meanwhile, White House officials who refused to comply faced intimidation and threats. The cover-up lasted months, but the pressure mounted as more evidence emerged. Senate hearings were summoned, and former White House counsel John Dean testified that Nixon had been directly involved in the cover-up. The unraveling of the administration had begun. The real game changer was in the tapes, the discovery of Nixon's secret Oval Office recording system. This system had been installed to document conversations from former documentation, but this became a key role in finding the truth about the investigation. Once it was revealed that the tapes existed, investigators demanded access. Nixon resisted, citing executive privilege, but after a long legal battle, the Supreme Court ruled that he must release the recordings. When the tapes were made public, they confirmed what many had suspected. Nixon had been involved in orchestrating the cover-up from the beginning. The infamous "smoking gun" tape showed him instructing his aides to obstruct the FBI's investigation, leaving no doubt about his guilt. Faced with almost certain impeachment, Nixon resigned on August 8, 1974, becoming the first and only U.S. president to do so. The following day, he boarded Marine One, gave a final wave, and left the White House for California. His successor, Gerald Ford, later pardoned him, sparing him from criminal prosecution but sparking national controversy. Many Americans saw the pardon as a way to move the country forward, while others viewed it as a betrayal of justice. But Watergate's impact extended far beyond Nixon's resignation. It led to sweeping political reforms, including stricter campaign finance laws, the establishment of the Ethics in Government Act, and increased oversight of government agencies to prevent future abuses of power. The scandal shattered public trust in elected officials, starting skepticism about the presidency and reinforcing the role of the investigative journalism in exposing corruption. It also set a precedent for the congressional investigations into executive misconduct, ensuring that no future leader could easily evade accountability. In the years that followed, Watergate became the shorthand name for a political scandal, as was the symbol of how unchecked power might put democracy at risk and the need for clarity in government. Watergate wasn't just about a political scandal, it was a movement that redefined accountability in the American government. It proved that even the most powerful leaders are not above the law. It also showed the importance of the role of the media and the need for ethical leadership. The lessons of Watergate remain relevant today, serving as a reminder that democracy depends on responsibility and integrity.